Welcome to the Chosen Strangers podcast. This is episode 2. I'm Josh. I'm with my brother Rob.
Last week we talked about our story. This week we talk about the grief that comes with the growth.
This is where we confront pain, we break chains, and we build everlasting legacies.
This week I want to talk about a post you had sent me. Affected me in many ways. I posted it immediately, but I also saved it because I loved it. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. We talk about breaking generational curses, but we don't talk enough about the grief, the kind that shows up when your family is still alive, but you can no longer stay close. Healing doesn't always look like reunion. Sometimes it looks like choosing peace over loyalty, distance over dysfunction, self-respect over silence, and it hurts. Not because you're wrong, because they're not ready, because you're finally accepting that the version of them you needed may never exist. So you grieve. The family you imagined, the love you craved, the childhood you deserved, and still you choose healing, even when it makes you the problem, even if it means walking alone, because this time you're not abandoning yourself to keep the peace, you're breaking the cycle.
Every time I hear it, it gives me chills. That, I don't know, it just speaks to my life, honestly. That's exactly where I'm at in my life. That's where I've been the last 6 months. What do you think hits you like the hardest?
And the line that hits me the hardest is when it says, and it hurts not because you're wrong, but because they're not ready. I think with family, you want to always be in touch with your family. You always want to be close to your family. But there are certain times in your life, you're growing at a different rate within your marriage, within your kids, and you can't always see eye to eye. And to them, it feels like you're being distant, feels like you are too good for them or not good enough for them. And the fact of the matter is your standard of what you're expecting your family to be versus reality is not meeting the criteria. So it's hard because you don't have time to explain to them. I want to sit down and tell you that you're not, receptive the way I want you to be. They're never going to understand.
No, 100%.
And to me, that line stands out. What about you?
This part right here, because you're finally accepting the version of them you needed never may exist. And then also the part that you said, or no, so it's right here. So you grieve the family you imagined, the love you craved, the childhood you deserved. Sorry. And for me, that relates back to mine and my mom's relationship. I've kind of understood that she is where she is. She's not going to change. I'm hopeful she changes, and only she can do that. But so that's definitely the first part. The second part about grieving and just the love I craved as a kid, the childhood I deserved. That right there speaks volume to me because that shows like that's how I parent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I parent my kids and I love my kids. I show up for everything. I do everything for them because I was that kid that, you know what I mean? Where's my mom? Where's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where's this? Where's that? Like,
it's the expectations that you set in your head for other people, for family members, for your mom, your father, whoever it is. And when they don't meet those expectations, you automatically want to blame them for it.
Yeah.
In reality, they don't even understand what those expectations are.
Well, in reality, you also don't know what they're going through. You don't even understand. You know what I mean? You may not understand. And this took me years to actually understand this. Is my mom probably wasn't even, her brain wasn't even functioning at that level to understand what this is what Josh needs. This is that. And so that was a big part of my healing journey. Just learning that, you know what I mean? Like maybe my mom just didn't have that capability because she had so much else going on, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we got to give grace, right?
100%.
We don't know everyone's situation.
Well, that's the grace that I learned to give. That was part of my forgiveness was, you know what I mean? Well, maybe my mom was going through so much stuff, you know what I mean? Like she was barely figuring out how to show up for herself, So that was big in my healing journey because I used to be like, screw, you know what I mean? Screw her. She don't even show up. This, that, this. And then I kind of I started to take a step back and I'm like, well, what is she going through? You know what I mean? Like, so I can't say I put myself in her position, but I definitely try to understand.
Got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the next part we talk about is choosing peace over loyalty. How do you do that? What does that look like? Well, I know for me, the loyalty is your family. Your parents, your mom, dad's family, that's your loyalty because that's who you grew up with. Now you get in your adulthood, you get married, you get in a relationship. Well, now you're choosing your peace over the loyalty of your family. I've had family members specifically say, well, I've been your family your entire life. Like, why don't we hang out anymore? Why don't you call me? Why don't we have a relationship anymore? I'm choosing peace. I'm choosing my family. I'm choosing the peace within my household over the family that I grew up with, over the chaos that I dealt with, over the love that I had. There's a lot of things that as we get older and grow in our relationships, we don't have time to talk to everybody. I would love to call several people every single day and just talk about my day, about my problems, about the things I'm going through. In reality, it's my wife, my kids, my immediate close circle.
Those are your backbone.
Those are the ones that I choose the peace over the loyalty. How does that peace over loyalty look for you?
For me, it actually kind of the same way. I chose peace for a really long time. I actually it's a really great thing now that peace is back in my life, and now that I'm in a great mental space.
Yeah.
Especially just with my everything going on. Me and my sisters actually started talking. I didn't talk to them for 5 years. And just to reconnect with them, you know what I mean? Like that peace, but now there's understanding. Now they understand where Josh, you know what I mean?
Love that.
Big brother was coming from 5 years ago. I had to work, like I had to distance myself to work on me, so that way I could be a better father, a better husband, a better brother, you know what I mean? And that's really it. Like, I'm kind of the person where I became is, if you're not serving me or you're not spilling into my cup, like it's hard for me to always fill into your cup. Like, I'm not saying I don't reach out and I'll never fill into no one else's cup, but it's hard whenever I'm the only one calling. I'm the only, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I think also family and older friends, they hold on to how you used to be, or they have the last recollection of, oh yeah, Josh was all about going out and partying. That could have been years ago. Now you're a different person. Now you have to almost reintroduce yourself to them as to what you're doing in your life now.
Yeah.
And they want to bring back memories of when you guys were close. Maybe that was in a different time in your life. Not always going to be. It's going to be the current times. So
yeah.
In a sense, when you get that relationship and you guys try to rekindle it, may not be where it once was. And those memories are left for the past. The going out days, the hanging out, before kids days. That's something you just can't bring back because you're at a different point in your life.
Since I was 18,
Yeah, well, that's different situations, right? So the last question in this passage is, healing doesn't always look like a reunion. What does that mean for you?
I believe that means you come to peace with, maybe they may not be fit for your life no more. You have to be okay with moving on, even though the little boy or little girl inside you doesn't want to.
Yeah.
But you got to learn to say your piece. And if God, if they're meant to be in your life, He will put them back in your life in the right positive way, where you're able to set boundaries. You're able to, you know what I mean? Hey, these are my boundaries. Don't cross them. You know what I mean? I feel like those are very big. I don't feel like a lot of us were taught as kid boundaries.
No. I mean, adults don't have boundaries, to be honest. And I think expectation, having that expectation for somebody. Let's say you haven't, had lunch or coffee with a friend in a long time, and you're so excited to meet up with them. We're going to meet up. We're going to get our relationship back, our friendship back, and we're going to be exactly where we were before. You're already making a mistake because you're setting an expectation to live in a past tense life of how you guys got along versus where you are out today. Don't have that expectation for people. It's okay to bring them back in your life if it's appropriate. And if it's not, again, it doesn't always look like a reunion. It may be something that's, hey, how are you? How are the kids? How's your family? I'm praying for you. I hope everything's going well. I'll see you when I see you. But you have to be able to not be a people pleaser and understand there's an appropriate time to walk away in a healthy relationship. It's hard to do. All of us want to please everybody. We do. Naturally, we want to like, everyone wants to be liked, wants to, hey, look at me, I'm doing good now. All right. Maybe they don't see the good in you. It's okay. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. No, I can definitely agree with that. And I can definitely see that. That was a powerful message. And that got me this week when I sent it to you. I knew it was something we needed to talk about. I just felt that, you know, that was the first thing I opened up whenever I saw it on Instagram. So
I love quotes on social media. I think there's so many different quotes that you can post. For me, I try to post ones that are very intentional to who I am,
exactly,
to what I believe in. If I'm posting it, I'm living it. I'm not going to post about something that I'm not living or the standard I'm not setting. So when you sent me that post, I shared it knowing that a lot of people probably wouldn't take the time to read it because it was a long one. Those long-winded quotes are kind of like, okay, we get it. Wake up early, do your thing, you know, go to the gym. But this one was so important because I've struggled with it in my life to remain this family member, this son, this cousin, to a nephew, to everybody, that I just can't be it. I can't do it. And I want to be there for my wife, for my kids, for my people. And I don't want to sacrifice that time for somebody else just because it may not be there. And again, I may not meet my expectation.
I'll close this with this. When I was probably about 15, my dad told me something and I've never forgot it. He told me the family you create is more important than the family you come from.
Yeah.
And that right there, that spoke volume to me, especially as I got married. And even my dad's told it before, like, at this point, like, yes, I matter to you, but don't pick me over your life. Pick your wife, you know, which I feel that it takes a lot to say as a father, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's for that gem from your father to be able to hear that and live by that. Yeah. Imagine someone never telling you that. That's my life. No one ever told me, stick by your wife, stick by your family. It was okay not to get married in my family.
Yeah.
Having kids and not being married, it's pretty normal in my family. So I don't know if it's a standard, but there's no, again, they didn't set the bar for me. So that's awesome that you have that from your father to live.
Yeah, no, I definitely do. And I took that, and I think that's going to kind of get us into our next segment. I know last week we talked about a couple of chosen to changes moments for you.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to dig deep into the very first one. You as a child, what was little Rob like? You know, and just kind of build up from there up until your very first chosen to change moment with your father.
Absolutely. So I grew up in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Had a great family around me. My parents were together when I was young. Like, I want to say I was 3 or 4 when they split up. They were never married. They did their best to try to keep us together, but I think the world and other things that they wanted to do in their lives, my parents didn't really align when it came to, I don't know if they ever wanted to get married. So grew up with pretty much I grew up with my grandparents up in Pecos, and it was very rural. We were up in the mountains. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a lot of money. I'd go to Santa Fe once a month to get groceries with food stamps, and we had a great life. I mean, my grandfather taught me a lot. My grandma taught me a lot, but it was all a poverty mindset. It was kind of go to school and just go through the motions. I loved it. My grandpa, every weekend he had friends over. It was a big party. Although I saw the gathering and the love and the laughs of them all, it was just involved around a lot of drinking and just kind of doing nothing with their lives. So once I got to middle school, I moved back to Santa Fe with my mom. My mom's a hard worker. Anything that I've learned as far as work ethic has been from my mom. She's 2-3 jobs pretty much her entire life, and I've always loved and respected that about her, but she was never home. So in middle school, I pretty much lived alone. I went to school. I played sports. I thank God I had sports in my life because that was my foundation. That was my father. That was my structure. That was everything I needed to fill the time. As I got through middle school, entered in high school, kind of the same thing. It was me on my own. My mom was working. She supported me. Anything I needed, she gave me material-wise. But the love, the stuff behind the scenes, it just wasn't there. I didn't ask for it. I don't want to know if I needed it. It just wasn't something I grew up with. You know?
With that, I mean, always I feel as a parent, especially like now, I mean, you're a parent. Sometimes it's easy, like it's easy to get caught up in giving your kids the things you didn't have, which I'm sure that's what your mom wanted, right?
Yeah.
I got to give them the materialistics I didn't have. I got to give them this. I got to give them that. But as as a parent now, do you see how easy it was to just love you with your kids? Like, does that make sense?
I do, but I also, unfortunately, some of what she taught me kind of stuck with me. I show love through giving certain things or expecting when I give certain things that I should receive something in return, whether it's respect or sign of love. So yes, I've learned to correct that mistake and break that curse. The reason my mom was like that is because she grew up like that. That's just the way it was. If I take care of my kids, if I show my son that I'll get him the new Jordans, that I'll make sure he has what he needs, then that shows that I love him. If I put a roof over his head, that's a sign of love. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad life. And it was just, I became someone who depended on himself, had zero faith. I had some good buddies of mine that would go to church. So because of them, I went to teen mass and I understood what religion was, but I didn't have a faith of my own. So I just lived my life as a single guy, going through middle school, high school, going through sports. I worked 2 jobs in high school because to me, mom set that bar. If you're not working, if you're not paying your bills, I paid my own phone, I paid my own car. She did finance it for me, but it was my responsibility to take care of my bills. So that was in a nutshell, that was my life. I then graduated high school, moved up to Albuquerque. I had an apartment. I was 17 years old, starting school, kind of getting into this real world thing, seeing what it was like to have your own place, to pay your own rent. And my chosen to change moment came fast. I was 19 years old and I got the call that my father passed away. So I know we want to get into that next. So I'll let you kind of narrative that, but it's a hard thing to talk about, but I'm excited and ready to share that part of my life.
Yeah, I mean, I could only imagine going through that at 19. I couldn't imagine going through that at 30 some years old, So, you got to take your time. You got to take your time with this. What did you feel in that moment? Like, was it, I got to really step up now? I really got to, you know what I
mean? Being 19 and receiving the call that my father passed away, I didn't have a lot of time to think about anything. There was immediate grief. There was confusion. There was uncertainty. I wasn't in a good space. I was 19 years old. I didn't know what I was doing at all. I talked to my father daily. We had a great relationship. He was a great man. It was a lot to learn within about 72 hours. I had to really go through a lot of things. So I don't know if I have that answer. I don't know if I can say what I learned in that moment, but what I can say is that moment defined the rest of my life. That moment of me losing my father told me that I had to grow up pretty fast. And even though I didn't have the blueprint for it, I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew it was time to buckle my belt and time to go to work. So
I commend you for that, because again, I could only imagine.
No.
I think just, what I mean? Like, that speaks to who you are as a person. Like, it's time to buckle up the belt and let's get something going. Like, I gotta work.
Well, he left behind 2 other kids. He left behind a name that I have to complete the legacy for. I am a junior, so Robert Martinez Sr., and we grew up with Big Robert, Little Robert. So I always felt the identity that I had to fulfill who he was and who he didn't get to fulfill the rest of his life to be. So I take that responsibility with pride. I can speak about it now because I've healed from it. I'm now 38 years old, and he died at 42. And I've told my wife, even my last birthday a couple weeks ago, I said, 38's cool, but I can't wait to be 42. And she says, why? She says, I'll outlive my dad at that time.
I remember we talked, or we did a podcast episode whenever I was doing my podcast alone. And I remember you told me that.
Yeah.
Like, that was big. Like, that number 42 has always been big for you. I remember you telling me, like, I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
And I think at that time, you were doing the cleaning business, you know what I mean?
It's probably 28 years old, about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That we did that. So that goes to show you that those words, they've stuck with me my entire life. And I think about that stuff pretty often.
Yeah. And I mean, I can tell, that you definitely live by it,
Yeah.
you know, and I can see that pain definitely molded you, became who you are. You took that very serious, just not only within your name, but, you know what I mean, carrying on your father's name. And
you know, what was hard about it was, yes, I was dealing with the loss of my father. Yes, I was dealing with, poor me, I don't have a dad, but there was also a lot more responsibility that came with that. I had to help coordinate with the funeral. I had no money to my name. Thankfully, his brothers and sisters all came together and paid for everything. Being that first car behind the hearse, I've been in plenty of funeral lines, unfortunately. It's always sad when you see a funeral line pass on the road, you pray for them. When you're a part of one, you remember the people that passed away and the memories. But being that first car behind the hearse, it's a feeling that, one, we shared the same name. I'm right there next to death. I'm the first car behind death. I'm that close to death. And seeing my name on that tombstone, seeing everybody missing my father, seeing him in a casket. We have the same hands. We share the same tattoo. It was surreal for me. It was a hard moment for me because I almost saw myself passing away.
no, that's also nice.
Seeing my brother and sister, 2 and 3 years old, not fully understanding what was happening, I immediately took the responsibility that I can't be their dad, but how can I be a figure for them to not be like, but something that they can look up to. And I hope that I'm that today. I've always wanted to be that for them. And just feeling lost, feeling like, you know, I also was responsible for the eulogy. So for a 19-year-old to do a eulogy with no public speaking experience, with your emotions, and I probably cried the entire time. It was really hard for me to do it, but I did it for him. I did it for the legacy of our name.
I did it out of the love.
It taught me a lot really fast.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, that almost forced you to grow up. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you didn't have a moment to kind of screw off, and you know what I mean? Like, no period. Like, here it is, you know, and especially because it's nothing you can prepare for. You know what I mean? It just happened.
Yeah,
you know. So, I think with that, I mean, we can get into, you know, your kids, you as a father. You know what I mean? Just kind of, what are some of the things you've taken from your dad? You know what I mean? You're like, yep, this is what my dad did. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you know,
my dad.
He was extremely personable. He had great charisma. People loved him. He was a great, right. He was a great father to me. That he taught me all about sports and competitiveness. We'd be in the yard playing basketball till it was dark. And I think the moment we stopped playing is when I finally beat him. Same with video games and, you know, Madden. We would always battle on stuff like that. So He taught me a lot about loving life, about, you know, singing. He was a big singer. He loved country music and always expressing himself through music and a good time. And I just loved his personality. He was a hard worker. He was a contractor. I saw him build some porches and do some remodels. I'm like, Dad, you could do that? Like, I never knew my father could do that, but he was so talented. And once he put his mind to something, he would always accomplish it. So it was really cool to be around somebody that I modeled to be like. I felt like because of me being a junior, I had that responsibility to almost fill his shoes. I never wanted to be bigger than his shoes. I just wanted to see if I could fit inside of his. So it was good for me. It was a good example for me. I appreciate the time that I had with him for sure.
Is your son third or no? Or did you name him something?
No, we stopped it. The generation starts with him. It ended with me and it starts with him.
That's what everyone asks me whenever I had my son. They're like, how we don't name him Junior? I said, because I want my son to be better than me. I don't want my kid to go through what
I just don't want him to have the identity of, no, oh, that's your father, that's your dad, or him feeling like he has to be me. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't play sports, like right now, he's 6 years old, about to be 7. He's not involved in any sports. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
That was my life.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean it has to be his life.
You're not that dad that's like...
I'm not. You know why? You know why? Is because I'm the dad that's around.
Yep. No,
a lot of kids, and I want to say this respectfully, coaches, I coached for 7 years. It's extremely hard to be a coach.
It is.
The community needs coaches. It needs good coaches, because coaches help the kids without fathers, without mothers in their life. That's what coaches are for, to fill that void, show them discipline, show them how they run their household. And these coaches are needed. On the other end, my kids don't need that because they have that at home. I'm that leader. I set the tone. For me to go and give my kid to somebody else to look up to, they can look up to me. So in my situation, I feel like they don't need sports or a coach to show them discipline, responsibility, leadership. Not saying it doesn't take a village to raise a child. It does, but I'm going to take that and I'm going to make sure that I feel that for them. So
speaking of coaches, did coaches play that big role for you?
They did.
Like, do you have that one coach that kind of?
Not necessarily that one coach, but you mix up a bunch of coaches that I had. There's even sayings today that I'll remember certain coaches told me. And even though some of these men didn't live their best life or were super successful, I looked up to them and I thought they were the coolest guy that I'd been around. They had the cool trucks. Yeah. They said all the cool lines. They knew it all. So yes, coaches were the reason. That was the void in my life. I needed coaches and I needed sports big time.
I definitely, I can definitely see that. Mm-hmm. Sports were the same way for me.
Yeah.
They taught me, you know what I mean? It taught you discipline, taught you how to go do it. Now my father was there, you know, but, I don't know. There was just something about football. Like this is what I have to do. It was a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
But sports also created, it was an escape for me as a kid. I didn't have to think about, you know what I mean, everything going on in my life. And the only thing I had to worry about was putting my head through that guy's shoulder pads, and that was it.
And a lot of kids, their parents are there. It doesn't mean they're present, but they're there. They're around. They might be focused on work, school, relationships they're trying to develop. I'm not sure, but not every parent is present. And I just want to make sure that I'm as present as I can be in my kid's life.
So do you feel like where you're at and what you're going through with your kids, do you feel like you've really created the love and stability that you wanted as a child?
No,
because
my wants and what I expected is going to be different from their life. What they're dealing with growing up, they want to play Uno. They want to hang out with dad. And my son wants to tell me about his game that I have no idea what he's talking about, but he wants my attention.
Yeah.
Me growing up, I wanted two parents in a household.
Yeah.
I wanted more things. I think I grew up with different wants. My kids, they want the simple things from me.
I learned that myself. Just with my kids. Now, I don't know about you, but no matter what happened during that day, no matter who's mad at who, no matter what's been told me, my wife could be on the verge, you know what I mean? We all sit down at the dinner table together. We all pray and we all talk about what was the best thing of your day.
That's amazing.
And we also talk about what was the worst part of your day. Let's talk about it. Let's get through it. That's, you know what I mean? That, and I feel that's what I wanted as a kid.
No, that's some like Family Matters type stuff. Like I can't say that I do that.
Yeah.
And we're that structured that we sit down and talk like that, but our conversations are very intentional. Mm-hmm. I try to be better at how I speak to them. Mm-hmm. I've been really working on cussing, and unfortunately growing up, cussing isn't something you do because you want to be cool. It's just part of the language, and it's not good. It doesn't look good, doesn't sound good, doesn't feel cool. Mm-hmm. So as an adult, I've really been working on not cussing as much. And so little things for me, I'm trying to do so my kids don't have to bear these problems that I kind of brought into their life.
Yeah. No, I can definitely say, and I definitely do understand. I think that goes back into like the things your kids want. That goes into kind of how simple it is to really love your kids when you're present. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like if you just listen to them and you build that relationship, you build that trust.
Yeah.
Where they're able to tell you, hey, this is what's wrong with my life, or this is where I'm struggling right now. Can you be here? I think in that, as a parent, that is like the most, like I was talking to my daughter yesterday. She was telling me, she completed her test, corrections, all this and that. Her grade went from a D to a B+. I told her, congratulations. Like, what was the hardest part of it? We were having a little dialogue. And I told her, I'm proud of you. Just know that you don't stop. You keep pushing. Mm. And she looked at me and she said, "I'm proud of you too, Dad." And man, to hear that, like I was like, yeah, I know what I mean, like
Turn away and cry a little bit.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you know what I mean, like
I also think that this society these days, men need to be leaders. They need to set expectations for their family, for their kids. My wife hears me all the time. Hey, babe, what's going on? What's the day look like? And then she'll kind of, does this, that. And no, it's not what I asked. What today are you going to accomplish to have that fulfillment? And immediately you want to think, well, do I need to work? Do I need to make money? Do I need to clean clothes? Do I need to make dinner, have dinner ready? Well, no, that's not what I'm asking. This, what is it today that makes you fulfilled today? And then I ask my kids, what is it today? Or did you guys do your school? Great. Are you doing good? What's next? Society is missing strong men.
100%.
It's missing strong men to lay a foundation for their families, set expectations for their friends. I talk to my guys that I ride with every single day. I tell them money is not going to change you guys. I do not want you guys to change who you are. I do not want you guys to make the mistakes I made. I don't want any cheating. I don't want anything to happen that changes who you are. And no, never me, never me. Guess what? I said never me too. And we all have.
Mm-hmm.
Money would never change me. That would never happen to me. I would never fall for this. It's not true. We're all sitting. The devil comes for everybody, and he attacks when you're at your weakest moment. So yes, it's great to be a loving father and proud of you. How are you? At the other end, it's okay to set a standard. It's okay to be bold in your actions, because I lead by example. My son knows, and he's 9 years old. He's going to be in the gym. It's not negotiable. He's going to be working out. He's going to be in shape, because he's going to have that for the rest of his life, and it's not negotiable.
I wish I had that.
It is what it is. But I set the tone.
I got to set that tone.
Imagine me telling my son that, and I'm out of shape.
No, I know.
No? I can't do that. So I want to make sure there's a good balance.
Lead by example.
I'm still the hard-nosed person my mom raised, but I'm also going to feel the love and the void that I never received, because they deserve the best of me, not the rest of me.
I definitely commend you for that. Again, you're leading by example, and I think that's, you know what I mean? Like, when you're doing it, it's easier to teach it.
Yeah.
As a parent, you know what I mean? Because there's been some things, and again, I have a very open relationship with my parents, with my kids. And I told my daughter to do something one day, and I was, you need to do it like this and this, like this. And my daughter looked at me, she said, but you don't. And the old me wanted to be like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you know what I mean? But I also had to swallow that, and I also had to be like, you know what? You're right. Like, yeah. I can't expect for your room to be clean. You know what I mean? Whenever mine's a little cluttered.
How do you expect your kids to read their Bible if yours is closed and dusty? How?
You can't.
You can't.
You can't.
All right.
I speaking of, like, you're talking to the guys. I saw this video on Instagram the other day. It's with Mike Tyson and Ngannou. Tyson told him you're very favorited. You know what I mean? He said, you have everything going for you, and he said, yeah, I do. He said, but do you know what comes whenever you're favorited? And you have God by your side. He said, what? He said, the devil comes even harder.
Does.
And he said, do you know what you got to do though? You got to leave with the same person you came in with. And that stuck with me as being a favorite guy and being a favorite person. You know who you are. You're walking with the Lord. He knows, you know what I mean? He's going to try and get you. Temptation's going to come.
Every day's a new day, and you just have to win the day. In every thing that you do has to be very intentional. That's how I live my life. I don't do it for this, for the podcast, for fake. I really do live that life.
Mm-hmm.
Take what you want from it.
How do you think, if you were in deep in your faith as you are now, back to whenever you were a 19-year-old boy, young man, sorry, what do you think would have been different?
I think my standard for life would have been different. I think when my father would have passed away, I would have leaned more on the healing process and on Jesus to help me out versus why me? Why is my life not working out the way I want it to? Why did this happen to me? Why did God do this to me? I was very much a victim. I would have carried on the next few years and started changing. I just said I was going to change. It didn't take me, it took me about 10 years, maybe more, to actually change versus me saying I'm going to change. Had I been involved in the church, had a good organized life, had a strong faith, I think changes would have happened a lot sooner for me. So luckily I didn't do anything bad. I didn't get in trouble with the law. I didn't resort to drugs or alcohol. I mean, of course I drank as a young guy, but it was never to abuse alcohol. But I know that my life wouldn't have taken so long. Now, it doesn't mean that we have to rush everything, but I'm 38 years old. I can't keep making these mistakes over and over, expecting to start to change in the next 10, 15 years when I can build this relationship. I can build myself into the kingdom of God. I don't have to keep messing up and asking for forgiveness over and over. We all sin, but not these big sins. I control some of that stuff.
I definitely see that, and I definitely now obviously I'm pretty sure you wouldn't change everything you've been through, because that's what's given you the wisdom, that's what's taught you, you know what I mean? That's those lessons have definitely forged who you are today. And probably without some of those lessons you still wouldn't be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The man you are today, so it was just something that, came across my mind. It wasn't even something we talked about.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
I just do it at you.
I don't always talk about the passing of my father because I want my legacy to be my name, but I think it's important for people that are going through loss of a family member. Maybe they haven't lost that important person in their life yet, but it hits you. It's not a 10th cousin that you never had a relationship with, that you just show up to the funeral. When it hits you front row, when it hits you first car behind the hearse, when you're up there reading the eulogy, you've never been more close to death than experiencing that. See your own name on cards, seeing a reflection of an older man who looks how you're going to look. It taught me a lot.
Well, I also think the first person that ever really wanted you to be better than them.
Yeah. It
It
would be amazing to show him where my life is at today, not with anything I've accomplished, but with everything that Jesus allowed me to build with my family, to be able to have a grandfather for my kids, to be able to come over to my house and just hang out, to meet my wife. Those things never happened. So that's what I would like about it. Nothing to do with business, just more of the relationships that my kids and my wife didn't get, not having him around.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us, and thank you for being raw, open. Obviously that's what this podcast is about, but that's definitely something that's hard, to talk about. And yeah,
it can be, but I think me talking about it, as long as I change someone else's life and I help them kind of get going, that's all it was meant for. My testimony isn't meant for me. It's meant for somebody else. It's meant to change somebody else's life. So that's why I'm okay talking about everything.
No, I think that's why we set out to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Next, I guess let's get into some substance cards, get more raw.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
Are you content with your life?
No.
No.
Job's not done. No. Job's not done. There's so much more to fulfill in my life. So many more people's lives to impact. There's so many more things to grow from.
Way to serve.
Yeah, I'm not done. I'm 38 and I feel like I'm 21 years old. So not physically, but mentally and spiritually, I'm a young man and I'm learning about how to serve others. I'm learning what it takes to get into his kingdom, and I'm just getting started. So
I don't think I'm content either. I don't know if I will ever be content. I feel like that's just kind of people we are. And not as far as like a material thing, as far as like, look what I have. This is what I got. This is what I have. Like none of that matters, right? Like I'm talking about in content within myself. Like me, the person, what I do every day, content within my marriage, content within being a parent. You know what I mean? Like obviously, like it's nice to be in a great place in your marriage. You know what I mean? Like, but I also know there's so much more to grow. There's so much more I can give my wife. There's so much more I can give back to God. You know what I mean? Like, and again, he's changed my life in the last 10 months. Like, I truly feel like I don't want to say indebted, but I am at the same time, because I owe it to him to give back, to show people, hey, this is how my life has changed in 10 months. Your life can do the same thing.
I agree.
And I'm not talking materialistic thing. I'm talking about in my mind. I'm talking, do you know what I mean? Just the way I think every day, the way I look at life, you know?
Yeah. I'm going to share a quick story. So after everything that happened the last 3 years, about 8 months ago, I met up with a buddy that we had a good friendship, but he knew that I wasn't in the right space and I wasn't doing the right things, and he pulled away from me. And I understand that he did, but we were able to reunite, have breakfast, talk about everything. And he was amazed. And I wasn't over trying. I was just being me. He goes, man, you've really changed. Like, you really have done a 360. He goes, I'm going to tell you something. I don't think this is offensive, but I saw you about to lose your marriage, lose your family, probably lose your house, lose your business. And he goes, if I was a betting man, I would have bet everything I have that you were going to fail. He said, and you did completely opposite. He goes, I'm just so proud of you.
Against
and
all odds.
I was so hearing that from him.
Yeah.
One, I respect him so much, but hearing that rawness of what he really felt behind closed doors and what everybody felt, and he was willing to say, I bet against you. But you didn't answer the door.
You proved me wrong.
And again, I wasn't doing it for him or anybody else, but it was pretty cool to hear that, you know,
because
the change isn't normal for people. And it was cool to see that how his perspective was on it. I respect him a lot for telling me that. Very thankful for that.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna take a true friend.
It was crazy.
Yeah,
it was crazy. It was crazy.
I would have bet my mortgage on it.
Yeah, right.
Next one is what's something you've done that would make your younger self proud?
Get married.
You married?
Get married, be a present father, and to be involved in my church.
I think for me it's getting married as well, having a 2-parent household. That's all I ever wanted in my life, was just to have my parents together. My stepmom was amazing. I love her. She's the most amazing woman. But there wasn't a 2-parent, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't my parents together, you know. And I think whenever my wife's in the kitchen or she's doing something, I go kiss them, and my kids are like, "That's gross." I tell them, you know what? You should be grateful. You know, we're like, we're loving each other. You know, you know. So that just hearing those, because my childhood was not like that. You know, so just to see my kids' childhood, see my kids' struggles, and they're like, "Oh, life's so hard." And I'm like, man, if you only knew. But
that's why you paid the price.
That's why I'm here,
so they can have a better life.
Exactly.
Right?
So that makes it all worth it. That's definitely probably my proudest moment, is, you know, 2-parent household for my kids.
I'm proud of you for being married also, and keeping that marriage together, and keeping that household together, and stepping into faith like we talked about last week. I'm very proud of you for that. And anybody else out there who is leading their kids to church, leading them in faith, whether it's 2 parents, single parent, I'm proud of you for doing that. I really commend you, because it takes a real person of faith to lead their children to God and make sure that that is their father.
Especially because faith is blind, right? Like you don't know what's going to come. Now I will say this to everyone: if you feel like you need to go to church, you feel like you want to go, you've been wanting to go, hit one of us up. He goes at 9, I go at 10:30. Accept you as you are. Don't judge you. Don't care what's going on. You know what I mean? Just come.
Absolutely. Plant that seed. I love it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just got that urge to plant that seed.
That's great.
Who is the one person that has been consistently been there for you? I already know this sounds.
Sound like I'm kissing butt, but my wife. Yeah, she had every opportunity to leave me. She had every opportunity to give up on me. She's my biggest critic. I'll call her and hey, Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me if this sounds like this is with good intentions. Tell me if this podcast is going to lead to people coming to church and to help families get their lives together. And even before we started today's, we sat in the car and we prayed, and I could hear her crying, and I'm crying, and I know that without her, none of this would have been possible. Nothing I'm doing, nothing I've done would have been possible. She's my support system. She's forgiving me for everything I've ever done. And I'm so thankful that I have a partner in my life to be able to live this life with.
I gotta go with that as well. My wife's been with me from the dirt, you know what I mean? 2 kids, didn't know what was what. And I asked my wife probably about a year ago, I said, why'd you stay with me through all the fights and all the immaturity and all the toxicness when we were kids? And she just said, I just always seen something in you, Josh, and you don't leave people that you see something in.
True.
And my wife, we've been married going on 6 years. Or no, it was 6 years.
Don't make a mistake.
But it flies by so fast whenever you're happy. Like, you know what I mean? No, because she even said 5 years a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, it's been 6.
Right.
But no, I mean, definitely without my wife, I would be probably lost.
I'd still, we talked about it. Would I be a hard worker?
For sure.
Yeah. Would I be disciplined in some areas?
Yeah.
Full circle, when you look at that wheel of life and you have, your family, finances, your faith, everything that aligns in that, I would have one really well and then the other one would be really low. So my balance of life is because of her.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure she picks up where you fall off.
Absolutely.
And vice versa. You know what I mean? We're the same way. All right, this one's kind of, when was the last time you cried?
Before the podcast.
Oh yeah, you just said.
Although I don't consider myself a crier, I guess I'm not a tough guy, but I feel like over the last year, I'll find myself tearing up in church during worship. Mm-hmm. I'll find myself crying in the car sometimes, just some self-reflective moments. But hearing my wife pray for me and asking her for guidance, asking her, she's been my spiritual leader for a long time. And until I took over that role, it was emotional because I heard her cry. And when I hear her cry, I kind of start to cry. So, I don't know, maybe an hour ago, I guess I cried.
Yeah. Last time I cried, I think it was probably like a week ago. And I mean, it wasn't like a sob cry, right? But,
yeah.
I definitely church this weekend. He was just talking about depression, talking about, you know what I mean, just the struggles, you know what I mean? Like, and I mean, just taking your own life. Like, it was deep. It was raw this weekend.
Yeah.
But like, just to know, like, cause I mean, you heard everyone around us sniffling.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, like, I'm really not alone. Like, everyone's going through it. My wife was, wholly, on my shoulder tearing, and I looked at her and I was like, oh man, like, you know what I mean? And it was really deep. And I mean, it was, I guess, comforting almost. Cause like, well, I'm not the only one that doesn't go through something.
Crying for a man is hard to do sometimes because, like, for me, I'm a tough guy crier. I'll kind of like look away and like act like there's something in my eye. I'm not one to really just let the tears run and own them.
No, I'm not either. But it does. I will say it does. It does feel good sometimes just to be like,
yeah,
I needed to get that.
I feel like I'll deep cry and then I'll stop instead of continuing because I don't want to feel some kind of weakness. Not that it is, but just the man in me, the person I am. My tough guy cry, but I've been crying a lot more lately.
Yeah, it's just because
I blame my wife for crying.
You're getting in tune with yourself. That's all that it is. You're getting in tune with your feelings, and that's never a bad thing. Last question: are you afraid to be alone?
I am, and I'll never be alone. I have Jesus in my life. I have my family, and some very, very important people in my life. I can never do this alone. I would never want to be alone. I couldn't imagine a life without faith. I couldn't imagine a life without my wife, without my kids, without my close friends. Alone isn't in my mind at all. So I'm absolutely afraid to be alone. I don't need alone time.
I'm definitely afraid to be alone. Even though I've walked in rooms and I felt so alone. I guess it's just because I know what that feeling is. And I know what that's like. I don't think I will ever be alone anymore just because I've gotten very close to my faith and I know. I know where I stand. I know what I need to do and I know where I need to be. And I know if I stand with him, I'll never be alone. As far as my circle, yeah, I don't think I'll ever be alone because I'm not gonna do nothing to impact any of the relationships, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't expect them to as well. And just I feel like I'm genuinely around good people right now,
Good.
and that's probably like the best thing. The company you keep is, you know, defines who you are. I feel like, you know what I mean. Pretty sure you feel the same way.
Yeah.
If you're around five bums, you're gonna be the six. You know what I mean. But if you're around six guys who are going to church, doing the right things, I mean, hanging out with their wife and kids. You know what I mean. You're gonna be the sixth one.
When you walk with the spirit's in you, you're never alone in a room. You stand out in rooms. Your faith shows, the chin up shows, the way you talk to people, the way your relationships are to people. You'll never be alone. So I'm glad that we can acknowledge that as grown men.
Definitely. And I mean, I think that pretty much wraps up episode 2. This week
Nice.
we talked about grief and growth with that grief, sorry. Definitely another real podcast, another deep podcast. Hopefully someone that's kind of maybe going through some things that you went through, or they're still not over it, or they still don't know where to turn. This just speaks to them. You know what I mean?
No, this podcast it's starting off with us and our chosen to change moment, but we really want to get to reach the audience, and we want to know, what was your chosen to change moment? What was that moment for you that you knew you had to make changes in your life? That's going to be the rest of our podcast. The next episodes to come, I want to make sure that we get those people on that are willing to share their stories, to be raw, to be honest, and to tell the world, you need to help somebody. Everybody needs to reach out to somebody and help them out. So that's my hopes, my prayers. I'm thankful for this opportunity, for this platform, and we'll continue to let God work with us.
Together we chose to change. So can you.
Absolutely.
Go conquer your day, conquer your week. Till next time.
See you guys next week.